I'm talking about the messy middle, and I really feel like this is part of Fucking Flourishing. And the reason I decided to go live every day this week was because it's European Mental Health Awareness Week. And all of the things that I've been talking about, because I've been pondering and, second guessing myself. I don't do it often, and I really tend to just ignore that stuff. But I was thinking, well, how does it connect? Of course it connects, because it's all to do with how you appear in the world and how you show up. And yeah, no topic to be messy. Yeah, so the messy middle. And I do have some notes, and there are things that I think are important. But what was really fascinating was what went through my head before I started this, because I work as a teacher and I'm a relief teacher. And you're right, Charlotte, it is messy. And working as a relief teacher or a supply teacher, or when somebody is sick, they call you half an hour before you need to be at the school to turn up and teach a class that you maybe don't know. And it requires quite a lot of kind of grit and fortitude, and no weak stomachs allowed, really. And I'm operating, of course, in my other language, which is Swedish. And I worked yesterday, and I did go live yesterday too, but I worked and I had woodwork, and there were some jokes about the woodwork. Honestly, I thought I was going to have to call an ambulance. These kids were insane. And the same teacher was sick again today. And so I rocked up, and this time it was 8 o'clock. I started, not 9. And had to leave and rush out, and they had to find somebody else for the last hour because I had woodwork again. Except the class were much calmer. So the messy middle, I feel like I've just been running around like a maniac today, because then I rushed home and I had this incredible group of women who were all over 70 who are learning English. And I teach that we have an English class, and we hadn't seen each other for a few weeks. So I said, let's get together. And I invited them all for afternoon tea at my house. And so, I came home and cut up a bun and put coffee on and put out my Moomin mugs, because I live in Finland and everybody has at least, 117 of them in the cupboard. And I'm one of those people now. And I just thought, oh, what will I do? Will I fix myself? No, I actively rested. Rest is an action. It is an amazing thing to do. And I sat on the couch and actively rested. Also did a little bit of Substack catch up. And my messy middle is, yeah, Lisa has 2 Moomin mugs. I think you need a Moomin mug, Charlotte, definitely. I could even send you one if it wasn't. Yeah. Anyway, we can talk about that in a chat together maybe. But the messy middle, I was thinking, I will actively rest. I'm going to rest this body because I was getting a bit headachy today, did not sleep well. And how we show up is important. And the more we normalize that it's okay to show up with your hair a bit messy. No, I haven't fixed myself. I left the house at 8 o'clock and have pretty much had people in my face for hours. And I want to show you the room that I'm in, because it's also important. This is the messy middle room. My dad is coming to visit for 2 weeks on Monday, and I've got plans. This is my work room, but it's also a guest room, and it's covered in stuff. And so I'm going to just scan you around. I've got picture frames, I've got sheets to put on the bed, and I've got a huge giant pile of stuff in the corner ready to be either taken downstairs into the cellar to be washed, because our washing machine has decided to give up, or to take to the Goodwill / secondhand store to be, to go into someone else's life. So my messy middle, I'm sitting in it, and I'm showing up in the messy middle of my life. And this is normal, and we should be okay with showing up how we are. And yeah, whatever. And it's interesting that the notes that I wrote to myself just before, because I do need notes every now and then, because I am at that period of time in my life where words disappear. I mean, I'm operating in 2 languages constantly, and so sometimes all the words in all the languages disappear, and you're just left with this blank void. And you do sometimes feel like that is a downward slide to I don't know, something a little bit scary. I've got dementia and Alzheimer's in my family, and I'm doing a whole lot of things to make sure that doesn't happen. But when the words don't appear, or when you forget things, or like I did the other day, if you were in my live or happened to catch that, I did happen to put the leftovers in a glass container into the cupboard, not in the fridge, and found them in the cupboard the next day. I don't know. There's something about this week. There is definitely something happening in my body that I am not normally that messy in the middle. But it is about showing up as you are, which is interesting because I do have a podcast with my friend Wit, and it is called As You Are Podcast. And we show up and we just have a discussion, and we don't edit. I think we've only edited it twice. Um, and that was just to take out one small little thing. Yeah. So showing up as you are is really important to me. And showing up, thank you, Liza, showing up with love, and showing up with humor. And the note I've written here is the messy middle is sacred. Now, I feel quite emotional actually when I read that. Monique Mulligan, are you joining? It must be ridiculous o'clock in Australia, although you are in Perth, so it's maybe not quite as late as I thought it might be. That's amazing. Sorry, I digress. But the messy middle is sacred. And it is that time where you can feel the and the other note is the great unraveling, that you're feeling like there is this unraveling of everything that you have perhaps felt and known and relied on, but maybe haven't felt 100% comfortable with because you haven't perhaps had the capacity to question, or you haven't taken the time. It was certainly the case for me anyway, where it is an unraveling. It's an unraveling of all of the shoulds that you have kind of hooked into, and all of the things that perhaps other people are, suggesting. And even though I've been always quite a forthright person in my life, people have called me tell it like it is, Lisa, which has followed me around the world, to be quite frank. Um, and I think that's also part of it, is that I can sometimes cut to an issue like, a bit of an arrow, and it can perhaps land maybe not how I necessarily mean it. Um, and where I'm going with this, well, I think it's all about when you think about the great unraveling. And I love that Tam's in here because she does do a lot with wool, and the unraveling of wool. It does take time getting out those knots, and it does feel messy. And I feel like I'm at a time where I'm okay with it being a little bit messy, but it doesn't mean that it's comfortable. It doesn't mean that I'm gliding through life on a cloud, because it's not like that. But it is about surrendering some of the aspects that you've hooked into, societal pressures or shoulds, or feeling obligated to do things that perhaps aren't really aligned with maybe your values or what you feel is important, or you're changing. And I mean, the physical changes in my body, and I'll be talking actually about that tomorrow with a friend who is coming live with me. She's based in Australia and she has a podcast on Substack. Her name is Carla. And we're talking about changes that happen in your body and how you can come to terms with that, because it isn't so easy. And I've really worked on meeting myself as I am, as I grow hairs on my chin, and as my body shape changes, and I'm having to seriously look at the clothing that I have in my wardrobe, how I am going to move myself more. And it does feel a little bit messy. It's not like this kind of clockwork thing. That doesn't work for me anymore. I spent years getting up at the same time, going for a walk the same route, coming back, fixing everything for the kids, the lunches, putting them in the car, driving my son to school, and driving myself and my daughter to school. And that doesn't work for me anymore. There's a routine like that just doesn't feel good. And I know Monique has given up her job recently, so it'll be interesting to hear from you how that's feeling. But I think there is this messiness and this uncertainty that you can feel a level of discomfort that is scary, and to be able to sit with that and feel that and surrender a little bit, and open up to new possibilities, is important in the process of when we're dealing with this messy middle, wherever you may be in that messy middle. I mean, I don't know, is it going to be like a big blob that just goes with me forever and it's going to feel a little bit messy? Perhaps, and that's okay as well. I don't really feel the need or desire to have it all together. That is not how I feel anymore. And that's also really liberating, because for a while, especially in my 30s, I really thought that that was a thing that you had to do, is have it all together. And I really don't. I really don't. One of the questions I've written here: what are you done hiding? What do you not want to hide anymore? What maybe do you want to shine a light on? And I do work with people one-on-one, and we do explore that, shining the light on those shadow aspects of yourself, which they're not the bad aspects. There's no value judgments being made on that, but it is looking at what are the other stories that you're telling yourself yours. For years, I have said that I'm not good at maths, and hello, arrive in Finland, I now teach maths in Swedish. Now, I can't tell you how bizarre that is, and even today, and sometimes it is really difficult because maths is not anything that I have desired to know. I know I can do basic maths, but teaching it in Swedish with new vocabulary and even new concepts that I've never been able to kind of, I don't know, wrap my head around. I've actually learnt quite a lot. So maybe telling myself that I'm not good at maths is something that I need to leave behind. And that's just a small example. I had a massive breakthrough, ridiculously, not only like maybe 2 or 3 years ago, where I realized that I had been telling a story to myself that I hadn't even was not at all conscious, that my sister was the creative writer and that I was creative in other ways, but she was the writer, and she's younger than me. And it was based on nothing. Perhaps something my mum mentioned when we were really young. She'd always said how my sister was a really great writer, and she is. She's an incredible writer, and that's kind of like her job now. She works in communications. But because the focus had been on my sister being good at writing, I realized I'd been telling myself that that meant I'm not. Like crazy, here I am. I've been writing on Substack and Medium, like publicly, putting stuff out there maybe since perhaps 2017. I started poetry, just, I cracked open and poetry poured out. And that's really where I started. I started posting it on Instagram, and then, I went to Medium, and then everyone left Medium and went to Substack. And then Fucking Flourishing has been going since last year. But it was, it came quite late, that realization that I'd been telling myself a story based on nothing. No one had ever said to me, "You're not a good writer." I did an English degree. Um, I know I'm a good writer, but there was still that story in me that my sister was the writer. And so facing that and realizing that I am a writer and being able to, thanks, Angie, um, that I was able to write, and that I can call myself that. That was a big thing. It was a big realization that I think, because I am open to this messy middle, has really helped me move forward. It certainly helped how I feel about myself, and that those some of the stories that we carry, they just don't resonate anymore. So delving into that sort of subconscious part of yourself can be a really good way of moving forward with some new stories that are very different, that feel more you, that resonate with you. It's kind of at the same time you are sloughing off, you are getting rid of, you are saying goodbye to those things that no longer serve you, opening yourself up to new things that really resonate, that like sit in your heart, and make you Flucking Flourish. I mean, it's why I called my publication Flucking Flourishing, because that is important to me. And it's a little bit also that you don't always have to be soft and calm and gentle and nice, that you can meet people with love and laughter. You can meet people with love, and yes, you can be a little bit sarcastic. That all of it is allowed. That stillness and calmness, that's one way of being, but it's also, allowing yourself the full gamut of all of the emotions, a little bit what I talked about yesterday. So it's about dropping the lies. It's why I talk a lot or write a lot about flipping the script. It's like, can you flip it? If you've been telling yourself a certain thing, can you flip it and look at it from a different angle or perspective? And you're right, Monique. We tell ourselves many stories, often not based on anything that is the reality. And if we take a little bit of time, and that's why I think time and space is so important. And if you are able to gift yourself that it can make a huge difference, even in lives that feel very busy. I'm not busy anymore. I mean, today I had one thing after the other, but it still didn't feel busy, and I still actively rested. I took moment because I know it's important for me, because I really wanted to show up here. I wanted to show up here and feel good. And I had a headache. It's gone. The headache's gone. So the active resting was a gift to myself. The other thing I've written down is it's like peeling away layers of yourself. You're getting to know yourself in a different way, I guess. And that's what I think of as this messy middle. My husband and my life have changed. We don't have children at home anymore. All our children are adults, and we live in an apartment. So our parents are, I guess, they're getting older, but we have a different life than I did 10, 15 years ago. And not everybody is in that situation. I'm only 51, and I have friends who still have children at home who are teenagers still at school, but mine are a bit older. So yeah, whatever that messy middle is, it's not really about an age number. I guess it's how you're feeling about yourself and where you are, and that it's okay. That it's okay to not have all your ducks in a row. In fact, the flucking ducks can flucking be wherever they flucking want on the pond. Because none of that matters. I think the joy, one thing that I've said, and I'll say it again in probably every live that I do this week, is my Play in May theme has been phenomenally wonderful for my own way of showing up and seeing the world and how I feel about myself. Um, it was just, I've had themes every month this year, but this play has really made me, not made, but I've realized joy and have had laughter in ways that I haven't before. So I think I'm going to continue for another month to play in May. It'll be playing June as well, because I've realized that I'm the director of my life, and if I want to change something, I can. So if that's a theme, even though I've promised other people that it might be connection, we can push it forward to the next month. So that's the messy middle. It's messy, it's unscripted, it's about shining a little bit of a light, peeling back some layers, and looking at some of the aspects of this of ourselves or the stories that we carry that perhaps no longer serve us, that we can say thank you, that was a great story, and now I'm changing the story, I'm rewriting the script because I am the director of my own life and I'm an amazing writer. I mean, hello. And I can really write another story for the next chapter, if we keep the book metaphor going. So in terms of how that has helped my mental health, it's been incredible as I connect back around to that it's European Mental Health Awareness Week. But there are lots of tools, and maybe perhaps having a look at the shadow side of yourself. It's certainly helped a lot of clients that I work with. So it's there's some fabulous prompts too. I might pop some in when I send this live out to people who've missed it. So thank you very much for those of you who have shown up. There are 8 of you. I can't tell you how much joy, and it's amazing. I mean, if you were all sitting here in my messy room, and if you did come in and did later and did not see my messy room, if you were all in here, it would be pretty cramped. Some of you would be lying on the bed and sitting on the floor around me. So to know that you're out there watching and listening and sharing with me. Oh, Charlotte, I agree. And Lisa, thank you. And Monique, and I can't see all the names. And I don't want to press too many buttons because I don't know, it still freaks me out a little bit. So keep showing up. Oh, Bronwyn, I'm telling you, yeah, okay. Yeah, maybe. Oh, and Bronwyn, I have a message for you. I opened my shoes. I opened my shoes. That is a big thing. I'll leave spoilers there, but that's Bronwyn is good at clearing out. So yes, yeah, messy is all good. I have to move my pictures before my dad comes because he's sleeping in the bed that they're on. So you know, I've got a deadline. But yeah, I've delved into the shoe thing. Oh, and I'm not going to finish yet because I have to tell this story. So Bronwyn, I have to tell you about the shoes. I moved to Finland from Australia, for people who don't know my backstory, 7.5 years ago now, and I brought shoes with me in boxes because I love shoes. My body has changed; it's gotten big and small and big and small, but my shoe size has always stayed the same. And so I brought, I don't know how many pairs. I'm not even going to tell you how many pairs. I flew over from Australia. I'm not kidding you. I got mates rates, but I have had them and I've never worn, most of them I've never worn. And Bronwyn sort of spurred me on. She was like, you know, what are you clearing out? And I was like, yeah, I got to do the shoes. So I got them out the other day. And you know what? I absolutely freaking love them. And I said, well, I want to wear these shoes. And there's multiple pairs. So it's for all different kinds of weather. And then we got an invitation to a fancy, like it's a graduation. They really love graduation here. And so I'm going to wear a pair of the shoes. I'm so excited. It's ridiculous. I don't have clothes to wear with them, but I've got incredible shoes from boxes that have not seen the light of day in 8 years. So there you go. I will leave you on that. How messy is that? So, you know, don't be too hasty in throwing things away that you love, because you could just like open them, air them out, move that energy around, open your heart, and then an invitation lands in your lap. And it's brilliant. Yes, if you wear them, you can keep them. Exactly, that's what I was thinking. And some of them are spectacular. And I'm like, don't know what's in fashion anymore. And I don't care because they're incredible. So I'm going to wear them. And if they're comfortable, I think you need to get rid of shoes that give you blisters. But I haven't kept any of those. So the messy middle, embrace it all, flucking flourish in whatever way that looks for you. So now it seems I have 10 people. I feel like I have to keep going. No, I don't. I don't at all. Yes, wear the shoes. Thank you, Monique. I will wear the shoes. Thank you all for showing up. If you've popped in at the end, thank you. I've just been talking about the messy middle. My name is Lisa Boleyn. I realised I didn't introduce myself either. It was a completely messy, ridiculous beginning to this live, and it is 6 p.m. I have been on the go all day, and even though I did actively rest, remember that I actively rested, and someone else just joined, and now it's time for me to depart because I do have to eat some dinner. I am feeling quite hungry. You can't actually just live on digestive biscuits. I had chocolate ones and I bought them because I had a whole lot of people over at my house today, just spontaneously. It was great. And I invited them into my messy room too. They had a look. I said, look, go in there. It's the messy middle. The boxes are going off to the Goodwill soon. So, yeah. So, thank you for joining me. I will leave again. I keep thinking of new things to say, but I will be going now because my brain is ready to, stop. It's saying stop. So, thank you, and see you tomorrow. I will be around tomorrow. I think I mentioned before I will be going live tomorrow. I think it is at 1:45 my time. I don't know what it is for all of you, but it's earlier than now. And that's because my friend Carla from Australia will be joining us. So, which will be really nice. I'll be able to have a little conversation with her, and I'll be going live on Friday as well. So perhaps you might want to pop in. Maybe this is a good time to go live because there's lots of people here now. So anyway, I look forward to seeing you around in the comments. Perhaps feel free to subscribe to Flacking Flourishing, where you too can flourish. And I'm actually going to be starting running a little course in mindfulness. So I will give you some details about that either tomorrow or Friday. Otherwise, thank you for joining me, and have a fabulous whatever time of the day and night it is for you. Bye.